Este es otro momento de buena vibra para disfrutar de la radio universitaria. Unipiloto, la radio de la Universidad Piloto de Colombia. Aquí comienza la Retrocapsula Empresarial. Un espacio para recordar la música de los 80 y 90 y su relación con el mundo del management y los negocios internacionales. Historias de artistas de la época y su impacto en el medio empresarial y musical. Dirige Andrés Mauricio Castro, decano de Negocios Internacionales de la Universidad Piloto. Coordina William Malpica.
Hola amigos, estudiantes, profesores y todos aquellos que siempre nos acompañan aquí en nuestro espacio desde nuestra Universidad Piloto de Colombia en Unipiloto Radio. Hoy aprovechando nuestros espacios también para transmitir en vivo a través de nuestro canal de YouTube y también para que después nos escuchen en línea a través de la emisora de la Universidad Piloto de Colombia. Bienvenidos a este espacio que siempre ha caracterizado nuestro programa y que es la Retrocápsula Empresarial, un programa de la Facultad de Ciencias Sociales, Humanas y Empresariales. Aquí les habla Andrés Castro, decano de la facultad, y obviamente un espacio que, además de mantenerlos al tanto de la actualidad de los negocios, de las actividades que viene desarrollando el país en diferentes ámbitos económicos, sociales, culturales, también un espacio para tener invitados que nos acompañan para hablar de diversos temas, especialmente enfocados en el tema empresarial, en aquello que tiene que ver con las organizaciones, el desarrollo del contexto y también todo lo que implica saber la realidad de lo que acontece alrededor del mundo en muchos aspectos diferentes a lo que vemos aquí en nuestro país. Obviamente, en este espacio, el día de hoy no puede ser la excepción y hoy queremos aprovechar porque tenemos un invitado especial en nuestro programa que ya más adelante les contaré quién es y sobre todo que vamos a hablar de temas bien interesantes relacionados con algo que seguramente muchos quieren saber y es esas oportunidades, esas posibilidades que tenemos en el mercado de los Estados Unidos, un mercado que ahora con los cambios que hemos tenido en este nuevo gobierno esperamos que se den nuevas oportunidades, nuevas fortalezas para inversión, atracción de compañías que quieran traer esos negocios aquí al país y algunos que quieren también potencializar especialmente esas posibilidades en los mercados internacionales. Recordemos que sobre todo en estos días y en estos cambios que se vienen dando, el dólar nos sigue favoreciendo y obviamente eso también digamos que de alguna manera va a desarrollar un impacto importante para los negocios en nuestro país. Pero bueno, antes de presentarles también un espacio que no solo vamos a tener ese invitado, sino también una egresada del programa de negocios internacionales que también ha pasado por el tema del emprendimiento y está desarrollando muchos proyectos también a futuro, pues también hablaremos con ella para comentarnos esas ideas y esos proyectos que ella viene desarrollando y que está pensando posiblemente fortalecer de aquí en un futuro próximo. Pero antes de comentarles cómo vamos a iniciar con estos temas tan interesantes, ¿por qué no arrancar con algo de música? Un tema que seguramente algunos habrán escuchado y que lo recordarán, algo que caracteriza nuestro espacio de la Retrocápsula Empresarial. Programas de los 80, música de los 80 y 90 que marcaron un hito en la historia musical. Y hoy precisamente no puede ser la excepción. Y arrancamos con una de las artistas que marcó un hito en la historia de los 80. La artista Laura Branigan. Y con el tema que muchos recordarán en los 80, Self Control. Canción para recordar el día de hoy aquí en la Retrocápsula Empresarial, porque como siempre decimos, recordar es vivir. How to not forget this kind of songs. And for example, this song that we are using here that is Laura Branigan, the Self-Control. Hit single was one of the defining songs of the 80s. And the lyrics theme of giving it into your desire was in step with the decades excessive lifestyle. If you listen closely, there is a persistent rhythmic reverb that resembles a heartbeat pulsating through the track. And that is the most important thing that we probably can assume about this song. That was most important of the 80s. And also because the beginning of this song was not originally from Laura Branigan. It was recorded by the Italian musician Raffaele Riffioli, otherwise known as Raf. and co-wrote and recorded Self-Control in 1984, just months before that Brannigan introduced her vision at American listeners. What is remarkable about it is, at least to me, is that when I first heard that, I thought it was a cover of Brannigan's. Despite the scene heavy hook, it could have been recorded anytime between the early 2000s and now. It's probably the song that most known, probably from the 80s, and most people recorded that song and probably reversion that song in other languages, not only in English, but also in Spanish and also in Italian. That is the most known songs around the world. It's a song that we have to remember here in Retrocapsula Empresarial. Well, as I told you at the beginning of the program, I want to introduce the guest that we have here for the program, and is especially a friend of mine that probably assume that is very important to have here in the university, and because during this week he was participating in some classes and giving some specific conference with the students, and was really impressive for the students to have this conference with them, also with his mom, that was his study also here, and it was a wonderful time. Let me introduce who is the person that is stay with us in the radio program today. He is a global leader. He is also an entrepreneur and former elected official who serves as founder and CEO of Amplify Global Impact Group, where he works across public affairs, strategic communication, and impact strategy to connect leaders and communities around the world. A former Arizona State representative and longtime civil rights and community leader, Jevin's work spans government, business, philanthropy, and international affairs, with a focus on building relationships across borders and turning those relationships into meaningful impact. He's currently in Colombia, strengthening his partnership between leaders and communities across the United States, Colombia, and the broader Americas, and also, obviously, through the universities that has the invitation that he is here right now. And his name is Jevin Hodge. And Jevin, it's a pleasure to stay with here in Universidad Piloto, and thanks for staying with us in the program.
Mi hermano, it is incredible to be here. General, estar aquí. Damas y caballeros, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you all today.
No, that's perfect. And the first question that we are going to discuss with you is specifically how is to be, or how difficult is to be a leader in comparison with culture. For example, in your experience, how different is to be a leader, for example, in the United States in comparison, for example, with the Americas? You can see, for example, is there any difference, or probably there have some similarities? What do you think about it?
Excelente pregunta. I have to say that, number one, it all comes down to respect. It comes down to respect. You can't be a leader in another country, and you can't work with folks from other countries if you don't respect their country, if their language, their food, their people. And I would say that's the number one thing that I've learned. And it has been just so remarkable. El gente de Colombia es increíble. The most amazing, beautiful, friendly people. And if you are inviting yourself to learn the food of Colombia, to learn the language of Colombia, to learn the cultura and the historia of Colombia, then Colombia is going to embrace you with open arms and welcome you into your hearts. And I would say that's the number one thing. I think that from leading in the United States to leading in South America or Asia or Europe or wherever it may be, it is always making sure that you are prioritizing the people that you're working with and prioritizing learning about the experiences of the people that you're working with.
No, that's a wonderful idea. And do you have any question also, Willie, or probably only the special guest that we have? I'm going to present you, also introduce you a little bit later. But William.
Well, definitely the artificial intelligence, it has been really disruptive. And if you see experts, companies, and many different actors, you can see that some of them are really pro-artificial intelligence and really remarks their advantages and etc. But there are some other group that are really worried about the impact, employment, maybe of the limits and how far it can go. So how do you perceive it from your perspective and from the things and your professional career?
Oh, excelente pregunta también. IA, ¿sí?
Yeah.
IA en español. ¿Cómo se dice en español? IA.
AI.
AI, yeah, sí.
AI.
It's not going anywhere. right? It's not going anywhere. It's not leaving our society. It's not leaving education. It's not leaving the workforce and what we're doing. So what we have to do is we have to adapt to utilize it as a tool, right? It is a tool in the tool shed and not the function of what we are doing. I firmly believe that the roles of human interaction is going to increase. There's going to be a premium price paid for people who can do this to communicate. See, AI can't communicate like this. We're telling real life stories. We're having real life conversation. We're having real human interactions. And if we continue to prioritize the real human interactions, right, and the real humanality of the work that we're doing, then AI is only going to increase our ability. However, the issue becomes, right, is the next generation of parents. When they're raising their kids, are they raising their kids to depend on AI, or are they raising their kids to utilize AI, right? And that's what's going to be the big difference here, right? We have, over the last 10 years, technology has expanded more than it has in the last 100 years previously. And so we have to understand that things are going to change very quickly. Muy rápido. Things are going to change very quickly. But are we going to lean into it? And I will say the last thing is from a regulator standpoint. So in Estados Unidos, in Arizona, I was a lawmaker, a senator, and I made laws. And one of the things that we have to be prepared for at every level. Mi mamá está aquí. Mi mamá es a city council member in Arizona también. The lawmakers are going to have to be able to make laws that are respective of people and their data. Because the issue when it comes to what does the future look like, can my data, your data, be manipulated to use it against you, right? Can we use your data to help you buy things or sell you things? Can we use your data for your decision making? And if the lawmakers can prioritize the personal protection of data, that's going to be the single greatest thing, in my opinion, that's going to help define what the future of AI looks like. I use ChatGPT every day. Every day I use ChatGPT. But ChatGPT can release my data, right? They can sell my data, right? Just the same way Facebook sells my data. We're going to need to have those protections of our data because our data is just as sacred as our physical existence.
No, I think that is the very important issue here is related with the ethic use of the artificial intelligence, how you are using and how probably is the purpose that you are making to do with the artificial intelligence right now. But it's an interesting issue that you can see right now in the younger people, especially, for example, in the university. You can see most of the students are trying to use the artificial intelligence, and obviously they are using as a tool, probably to solve their problems that they have to solve for the classes. You know, it's an important tool for them. But the other issue is what is happening in other levels of education, and I'm going to the lower levels. For example, in the high school, what is probably positioned right now, according to the situation that we are living, for example, in the high school, for the use of artificial intelligence, because they are most of the generation that we are living right now are in the technology era. So in that case, they are more closer to this kind of technologies.
Exactly.
What is probably the vision that you have right now with the younger people, that I know that you are working with these younger people, and they probably are more closer to use the artificial intelligence since early ages. So what is probably the issue that you can see in your experience?
Mi mama talks about this, and I talk about this all the time. She's a superintendent of schools, 25,000 students she has in Arizona that she's over. And all high school, all 14 to 18 años, right? And so I was giving a talk recently. Let me start with this. I was giving a talk recently to high school students. And the high school students asked me a question. Señor Jevin, yo tengo pregunta para usted. I said, sí, okay. They said, how did you write a 10-page paper before AI? And I said, how did I write a 10-page paper before AI? I said, my question to you is, I could write the 10-page paper without reading the book. So I think the most important thing here is we have to be able to teach critical thinking, right? Yeah. Because AI, and that's going to be the biggest thing, right? It's can you read, even if you have ChatGPT or Claude develop something for you, Can you read it and determine if that is false information? Are you able to do the research to fact check the AI because the AI makes mistakes? And I think that that's going to be the most important thing, because now you have the first generation, right? I was the last generation that was born before Google, right? Google came out when I was 4 or 5 years old. So I was the last generation to be born before Google. I'm a millennial. And every generation since then has been born after Google, now born after AI, now born after instantaneous communication, right? When I was growing up, we had a number of texts that we can send, right? We had minutes. Remember minutes on the cell phone? Right, exactly. And so the world looked very different. But more importantly than the world looking very different, you had to think differently. You had to critically think and critically process. You had to take time to understand and reason, right? The act of writing something down is not just a punishment to write things down. It is forcing you to think about the work that you're doing. And even the act of typing out the paper does the same thing, right? It's different, but it has the same neurological connections of ensuring that you're thinking about the information that you're providing. You're thinking about the concepts in which you're talking about. Now, with AI, that thinking about has been eliminated. And so how do we adapt our school systems to ensure that we're forcing our students to think about that middle part? And I'll give you one last example. In Arizona, my mom has the high school students, and then we have the kindergarten. We have a preschool for 3 to 5 year olds, 3 to 5. And at our preschool, it is not allowed for our kids to use tablets. We don't allow them to use tablets. And the reason why we don't allow them to use tablets is because we want the kids to talk to each other. We want the kids to talk to maestro. We want the kids to have conversation. And it's a bilingual kindergarten. It's a bilingual kindergarten. So, the niños español, about 50% of the niños speak only Spanish, and about 50% of the niños speak only English. And they have to learn how to communicate to each other. You see? And now they're 3, 4, and 5 years old. But the reason why they have to learn how to communicate to each other is because if they don't learn it at 3, 4, and 5, they're not going to learn it at 14, 15, and 16.
That's very interesting. It could be the critical issue that we have to analyze, not only for the younger people, but also for the youngest one. Because probably since the beginning that we have to understand how to impact the technology to this kind of people. Okay, but let me invite you, Jevin, and also William, to listen another song that probably you remember when you are going to listen. The group is probably, Jevin is probably Erasure.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And the song that probably is well known about this group is A Little Respect. Song that we are going to listen here at Retrocapsula Empresarial, because we say, recordar es vivir. And we are back again. That was Erasure with A Little Respect, one of those songs that just makes you feel good from the very first seconds. Released in 1988, the song was written by Andy Bell and Vince Clarke and became one of the Erasure's most famous hits. But here's what I really like about this song. It sounds happy, energetic, and perfect for singing along, but the message is actually very emotional. It's about loving someone and simply asking that person for one thing we all need in a relationship: a little respect. And what a combination Erasure had. Vince Clarke, obviously, who had already worked with Depeche Mode and Yazoo, creating those amazing electronic sounds, and Andy Bell with that powerful and unforgettable voice. And then comes the line we all know: I'm so in love with you. You hear it and suddenly you are back in the 80s. That's the magic of a great song. Almost 40 years later, it still sounds fresh, it still makes us sing, and its message still makes sense. So turn it up and enjoy the memories. This is Erasure, A Little Respect. A Little Respect, a lot of 80s magic. A song that we want to remember today here at Retrocapsula Empresarial. Okay, we are going to move, Jevin, about to move in Spanish, because we have a guest for this program. And is a graduate student of our program of international business, and she is very known in our program, and she's participating in some specific activities from the faculty and also for the accreditation progress that just received a few, probably a month ago, that we received from the Ministry of Education, the highest accreditation for the international business program. And the reason is because we want to talk with some students that probably passing through the program and right now are graduate students and they are working in their own projects. And that's the reason because today I invited our main, probably and well-known graduate student from our program, and she is Ivonne Arias. Ivonne, muchas gracias por acompañarnos y bienvenida a este espacio de la Retrocápsula. Bienvenida a tu casa, como siempre, esta universidad piloto que siempre está de puertas abiertas para ti. Y obviamente, gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy, Ivonne.
Muchísimas gracias por la invitación, muy feliz de estar acá. Creo que ya es como mi cuarto programa en 9 años, ¿no? Ya me gradué hace 9 años y pues muy feliz de estar acá.
No, a ti muchas gracias. Ha sido parte de este trabajo que hemos hecho porque digamos que también estamos hablando desde la cabeza. Cuando yo arranqué aquí en la Universidad Piloto, yo arranqué en negocios internacionales como director del programa de negocios internacionales, decano académico en su momento, pero quería aprovechar este espacio, Ivonne, por todo lo que tú has vivido, lo que has pasado, las experiencias que has tenido. Te he seguido también activamente en redes, ahora que también nos comentes cómo te encontramos en Instagram, porque sé que andas en muchas cosas ahora, has vivido otras y quisiera saber cómo ha sido esa experiencia, porque en alguno de esos últimos videos que he visto has hablado de eso, de todos esos momentos que has vivido y dónde estás hoy. Y creo que es interesante conocer esa experiencia de vida que has tenido, de que para muchos a veces no es fácil en los momentos de emprendimiento caer y levantarse y seguir adelante, y creo que tú has vivido muchos de esos momentos también en tu vida porque eres una chica emprendedora, una chica que ha buscado proyectarse en lo que quieres hacer en tu vida, y creo que es bueno también para que nuestros chicos que están escuchando y también aquellos egresados que están pensando en empresa tengan en cuenta al momento de iniciar esas oportunidades, porque yo recuerdo todo el tiempo que tú venías aquí en la universidad, estabas trabajando en el tema de cuentos, ¿sí? La cuentera del programa, y eso convocabas muchas personas. She was an storytelling in our program, so she is making a lot of students that were hearing her to listen their stories, and so many people was interested in their stories that she was made here at the university. That was the beginning of her in the university.
Increíble.
So, tell me about the story.
Bueno, empecé con muchas cosas en negocios internacionales. Creo que hice demasiadas cosas porque soy una persona muy creativa, me gusta también aventurarme a muchas cosas. Empecé precisamente en cuentería como una oportunidad de poder hablar en público, porque siento que a los negociadores internacionales nos hace falta eso, ¿no? Y a veces llegamos como a 9º semestre y no sabemos ni siquiera hacer una presentación frente a un profesor. Entonces empecé como con esto, pero pues ya se abrió todo un mundo, empecé con cuentería y demás. Y esto también me ha llevado a que mi vida profesional tenga que buscar y quiera buscar oportunidades. Precisamente Mauricio lo comentaba. Yo hace 3 años monté mi propio emprendimiento, que era una cervecería artesanal, que nació de una marca que yo ya llevaba construyendo en redes sociales, que se llama Ivonne La Crespa. Ivonne La Crespa empezó como algo que yo empecé a fabricar en redes sociales, venía de cuentería, pero pues nunca lo había proyectado mucho. Después empezó siendo influenciadora, y de ahí nació la cervecería artesanal. La cervecería artesanal nace como un proyecto, no es solamente un local, sino que yo quería que fuera algo grande, ¿no? Que fuera reconocido, que fuera como un BBC, ¿no? En Bogotá. Lamentablemente, por muchas decisiones, yo creo que también uno tiene que ser muy consciente de que a veces uno hace muchos planes de negocio, pero también implica estar en la experiencia, ¿no? Porque otra cosa es hacerlos y otra cosa es experimentar eso. Tomé muy malas decisiones en el negocio, sin embargo me volví viral, ¿no? Y fui reconocida a nivel internacional. Llegué a México, Chile, Perú, Colombia. Había mucha gente internacional que me apoyaba, colombianos en el exterior, en Estados Unidos, en España. Sin embargo, pues no podían como venir, ¿no? Entonces eso permitió que lamentablemente después de muchos meses, después de una viralidad, pues quebrara, ¿no? Y me tocó cerrar el negocio y desafortunadamente tuve como una crisis en enfermedad. Me diagnosticaron lupus, que es una enfermedad autoinmune. Que ya está controlada, es algo con lo que las personas pueden vivir, ¿no? Porque siento que hay que decirle a las personas como las enfermedades autoinmunes es algo controlable. Ya estoy en remisión y pues es algo que no me afecta en mi vida. Sin embargo, pues después de eso me tocó un poco pararme de todo, ¿no? Porque pues todo lo que fue como la enfermedad permitió que tuviera que reevaluarme muchas cosas. Debía un montón de plata al banco por el negocio, tenía mi negocio encerrado en una bodega, ¿no? Y pues adicional a eso, al principio sí la enfermedad me pegó muy duro porque cuando hay un brote, pues lamentablemente sí hay que pasar por un proceso químico y farmacéutico bastante grande. Y nada, ahorita nuevamente volviéndome a parar, sigo con la marca Ivonne La Crespa. Cambié de rumbo porque pues lamentablemente la cerveza no es una opción de vida ahorita con el diagnóstico que tengo y también por todo lo que pasó, ¿no? A la final uno ya dice, bueno, creo que me puedo ir por este lado y sigo con las redes sociales, ahora soy influenciadora de moda. Y un poco también como decirle a las personas, buscar nuevas oportunidades. ¿Por qué nuevas oportunidades? Porque creo que muchas personas suelen caerse, ¿no? Cuando a mí me pasó todo esto, quebré, debí al banco, me enfermé, tuve que entregar mi casa, o sea, totalmente todo mal. Y desafortunadamente eso hizo que muchas personas pensaron que yo iba a caerme, ¿no? Y dije, no importa, me levanto, cambio el tema de mis redes sociales, busco un nuevo proyecto. De hecho, el decano sabe que yo estoy ahorita pasando papeles para irme al exterior, aprendiendo otro idioma, entonces es como, bueno, la vida no se acaba ahí, probablemente me toca endeudarme de nuevo, volver a creer, pero pues es algo que pasó y es una enseñanza muy bonita.
No, es muy interesante esa historia de vida. Jamie, if you can understand some part of the information, is because Yvonne was an entrepreneur. She had some difficulties at the beginning to create the idea, the business idea, to develop, to maintain the business. It was so difficult.
And then doing work with the hospital and lupus. I mean, like, wow.
Yeah.
Increíble.
It was a hard story, but it's probably the resilience that you have right now because you always continue, although the problems, although the situations, you are continuing with your ideas. We try to promote your interest in to probably create a new business to maintain your brand. That is Yvonne La Crespa. That's the brand that she's managing right now. Also, is active right now in the network. If you're using in Instagram or also in TikTok.
En TikTok, en Instagram y bueno, en X, casi no uso mucho X, como Yvonne La Crespa aparezco.
Sí, en Crespas, like curls.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, oh, increíble.
That's the reason because she are using the name. And also the brand because she has also she developed the brand and the brand is she's like with
the curls. Sí, Crespos, yeah.
And that is the difference that she was trying to create a new opportunity. And most of the issue that we are talking here at the university is, for example, the possibilities that the students have, for example, to start a business, to create their own business, not only to think that probably that they are going to work in a company. Right, they have the opportunity to create a new business and give opportunity to others to be part of this idea of this project.
And may I jump in?
Yeah.
So what I love most about that, about inspiring the students to create businesses and to be business leaders, is that the Unipareto, right, is doing the work of defining the narrative of Colombia. Colombia is made up of innovators. It is made up of people who are solving problems. It is made up of business leaders who are working all over the world, right? And I think that is so remarkable, and I think it's so great for your leadership as well, because you're inspiring the students to be able to do so. And when you look back in 10, 20, and 30 years, right, the narrative of Colombia is going to be completely different. It already is very different, but it's going to be completely different because we have a generation of young people who believe that they could do more. And the reason why they could believe that they can do more is because they came to places like this that inspired them to really channel their energy and really channel their abilities to be the best versions of themselves. And I just think that that is the most remarkable thing on the planet.
No, I think this is the most important opportunity that we are trying to promote here at the university. The possibility not only to work in a company, but also the opportunity to create their own business.
Sí.
And also most of the students, let me share you with this information important, Jevin, is because most of our students that you probably find it at night yesterday, most of them, they are working in their own business or probably they are working in a company.
Yes.
So that's the reason because they are taking classes at night. And it's been interesting because they are making an important effort to come not only to the university and continue working on the next day. And this is the idea that probably they have to assume responsibilities. It's not only the responsibility what they have with their work, but also the responsibility that they have with the university.
Sí. I mean, even la profesora Camila, Profe Camila, she is working 2 jobs. So, I mean, you get to see from the educators that they are doing the work too. And I just thought that was just the most remarkable thing on the planet. I mean, just seeing how excited the students were to just learn and grow. But more importantly, really lean in. I asked the students very nicely. I said, necesitas que tengas preguntas. Like, I need you to have questions para mí. And it was so many questions, we ran out of time. And so it really speaks to how excited the students were to be part of what we are all building here together.
No, that's great. And that's the opportunity, Jevin. Let me share it with you also with Jevin, William, and also Yvonne, another song that probably you are going to remember, or probably, that probably will be a song that you can hear it. And we are going back to the 80s with an important song of these 80s, and especially for the artist that we are going to talk about it. And it is Michael Jackson.
Yes.
With the best song that probably you can hear about. The name is Billie Jean. That song that we want to remember today here at Retrocapsula Empresarial, because we say, recordar es vivir. Es vivir. And we are back again. That was Michael Jackson with Billie Jean. And honestly, you only need a few seconds of that bass line to know exactly what song is playing. Released in 1983 as part of the legendary Thriller album, Billie Jean became one of the Michael Jackson's biggest hits and one of the songs that helped turn him into a true global superstar. The story behind the song is also interesting. Michael said it was inspired by the kind of stories he and his brothers heard from fans during the Jackson 5 years. So Billie Jean was not one specific woman, but a character created from different experience. And of course, we can talk about Billie Jean without remembering Motown 25 in 1983. That night, Michael performed the song on television and showed the world his famous moonwalk. It was one of those moments in music history that people never forgot. What I really love about this song is how simple that opening feels. Not only the drums, that incredible bass line, and then Michael's voice come in. You immediately know something special is about to happen. More than 40 years later, Billie Jean still sounds cool, mysterious, and completely unique. That's the magic of Michael Jackson. Some songs remind us of the 80s. Billie Jean take us right back there. That's a song that we want to remember here at Retrocapsula Empresarial. Okay, Willie, I know that you have one question for our special guest that we have today, to Jevin. So,
yeah,
please.
definitely. And thank you very much for all your apports and your ideas that you have on different topics. And particularly, for many countries, the falling on the birth rates and aging population has been very challenging facts and challenging trends that they have to face, including Colombia, like in many industries, for business, for people. So how do you perceive it there in the United States? And what do you think that will be the effects that we will see maybe in 10, maybe in 20, maybe in 30 years? It's going to be good, it is going to be not so good. What effects do you expect? And if you allow me, how countries should manage these topics? Because right now it's like there has not been any country that have a correct answer for these topics?
Oh, that's a great question. I want to start with the first piece when you talk about aging, right? And I think that that's very important. I'm not a father yet. I hope to be a father someday. And I tell everybody that have babies, have babies, have babies. And the reason being is because, and this is my personal belief, the greatest form of being an optimist is bringing another human into the world and believing that that world is going to be a better place, or doing your part to make the world a better place so that your human that you brought into this world can live in it, right? And so with that, there's an ancillary point that is very important. People in the world are hurting economically right now. I mean, it's not just, in the United States and Colombia and Inglaterra, you're feeling it. So that's the reason why aging is going to be so important, because you got young people that don't want to have kids because they can't afford it, or they're afraid that they can't afford it. And so we're going to need very bold, forward-thinking leaders that are going to have to run for office in every country to really fight to make sure that we're investing in our people. And that was when I was in the Arizona legislature. That was one of the things that we fought for more than anything else. How can we cut cost and put dollars in people's pockets? How can we make sure that people have access to all of the critical things that they need? Healthcare, food, housing, right? So that they can live that life, so that they can have babies, right? So that they can continue to bring amazing people into the world. So the concept of aging is one that I am personally very passionate about. I have a multi-generational family, right? And a very young family. My grandmother is only in her 70s, and my grandmother had my mom young. My mom had me young, right? And so I have a very, very young family. And so this concept of aging is very important to me personally. And then you get into what does the future look like with ethics? And how do we ethically, and the way I would ask, change it just a little bit, is how do we ethically plan for the future, right? And I think that AI is going to play a significant role in that. I also think that communication is going to play a significant role in that. And most importantly, it's all going to come down to if we can understand the experiences of other people. For me personally, I'm the son of a single parent. My mom raised my brother and me by herself. I didn't have a papa growing up. And we didn't have much. My mom worked really hard to make sure we had a better life. And she sent us off, my brother and me, to two of the best universities in the United States. My brother went to New York University, and I went to the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. I lived 4 blocks away from the White House. But the reason being was because my mom worked very hard to give us that experience. But now, as a business leader and as an international business leader, I now understand on a deeper level the hard work and the perseverance of the people that are on the ground. And so when we get back to ethics and governance, if we don't understand where people are coming from, and we don't understand the why and why people are making decisions, ethics is going to go out the window. Because it's just not going to be important, right? If I don't understand you and you don't understand me, why should I care about how you feel? Or why should I care about if this is the morality in a decision? If it's not impacting me, it doesn't matter if it impacts you. I don't care about you. So we need more people to understand humanity. We need more people to understand the experiences of others. And then we also need more people to have babies, right? Because that's going to be the greatest unifier, right, of creating a better place in this world, when we all have to protect our children, and we all have to protect our future, and we all have to protect what it is that we have, so that we can all mutually have a better world together.
No, that's an interesting point of view, Willie, and also for you as well, because right now the situation of the people that are living right now is we have more older people right now in comparison with probably you go 20 or 30 years ago. Most of the people where it was
The
how to say
opposite.
the change, the age that we are living right now. Most of the younger people is lower, and right now the older people is more people that are older people. So we have to think about what is happening for the future, and especially that you say, what is probably the future that we are expecting?
Yep, exactly.
And because most of the people are preferring, for example, I know that some people love animals, I know, but the issue is because I know most of the people prefer a dog or a cat instead of a kid.
That's right.
And
I want to add to that, and why I think the work that is happening here at the university is so important. right now, over the next 10 years, over the next decade, globally, we're going to have the largest transfer of wealth. The largest transfer of wealth is happening over the next 10 years. And think about all of the small business. In Estados Unidos, we call them mom and pop businesses, right?
Yeah.
¿Cómo se dice en Colombia, en español? Like small mom and dad businesses, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's like a family business.
See, like a family business, but it could be everything from like a auto mechanic shop to a tienda to a store, like you name it, right? And those people are, one or two things are going to happen. They want to retire, or actually one of three things want to happen. They want to retire, they can't do it anymore because of their age, or they pass on. And so that wealth that is accumulated in that business is going to have to transfer to someone else. And so young people right now are seeing this as an opportunity, and that's going to be huge for the business students that are here and understanding what the future looks like. And there was a very different governing philosophy of business 30 years ago and 40 years ago when these businesses were started. And so you're going to see not only a transfer in wealth, but a transfer in leadership, a transfer in ideological makeup, a transfer in understanding in the investment in people. And so the working community, the business class, is going to look very different over the next decade because of the current class of people who built up to where we are right now are transitioning out of leadership. And then we just have to be prepared for it. We have to be prepared for what's to come.
That's probably the future that we are expecting, no, Willie?
Yeah, and actually, I would like to add, because you see that countries like Japan or maybe Australia have really tried very hard to fight against this phenomenon. Like, for example, giving money to young people to have babies, or, for example, doing tax cuts or beneficial in
financial benefits
tax
that's
for
right.
people if you have babies. But when you see the numbers, those solutions are not working. I mean, so yeah, it is a very interesting problematic. So how can we solve it? Because
people are hurting. People are hurting. You know, I say this. God gave us, Padre Nuestro en el Cielo, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And we do a very good job of listening with our mouth. We do a very good job of listening with our mouth. So we have to slow down. If you're a leader of a business, a leader of an institution, a leader of a university, elected leader, if you're a leader, you need to slow down and listen to your people, because the people are going to tell you what they need. Right? They're going to tell you not just what they want, but what they need. And that's how we're going to solve the problem, right? You know, I mean, a great example of this is it might not be money that you want, right? You want good schools, right? You want good hospitals. You want access to healthcare. You know, in the United States, and this is a bold statement, but the United States does not invest in women. Right? They don't invest in babies, right? We have some of the worst prenatal care in the world. We're one of the best country in the world has the worst prenatal care and investment in women. So if I was a woman, why would I want to have a baby if I can't even get access to health care? If I can't even get access to the basic essentials it's easy for us as men to have babies, but it's, you know, I can't have a baby as a woman if I'm not going to be taken care of, if I'm not going medically, right? And if I don't have access to high quality healthcare, and then after the baby is born, to make sure I have the proper follow-up that's needed, right? And so money doesn't always solve the problem. And I think that's the missing piece here, right? The people are asking for access to all of, in totality, right? The ecosystem of resources that are needed. And that's what we have to prioritize. And I think that's going to be the future of what we need. People are going to be angry. They're going to be angry. They're going to be angry until they can get good food and good, you know, not processed food that was made in a laboratory, and good health care where they don't have to die waiting for it, and, you know, and good paying jobs and good schools for their kids so that they can live in their neighborhood and walk to the school down the block, right? And so that's what we're going to have to continue to fight for. And I think that's going to be the future of where, you know, ethical leadership goes, right? I think that's going to be the future of where AI goes. I think that all of that's going to be tied into what the future of society looks like.
No, that's a great point of view, and thanks for sharing these specific talks about the situation that we are living right now. And also invite you to Jevin and William and Yvonne also to share another song that probably you are going to remember here. And that one is specifically for a group that probably you know as you hear it. And that group is Eurythmics with the song that probably is well known around the world. And the song name is Sweet Dreams. Song that we are going to listen today here at Retrocapsula Empresarial, because we say recordar es vivir. Es vivir. And we are back again. That was Eurythmics with Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, one of the songs where you hear the first few seconds and immediately say, oh yes, that's the 80s. Released in 1983, Sweet Dreams became the song that took Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart to audience all around the world. And here's something interesting. The song was created during a difficult time for both of them. But instead of giving up, they turned that feeling into music and created one of the most famous electronic sounds of the decade. Then came the music video. Annie Lennox with short orange hair, wearing a suit and looking straight into the camera. It was different, powerful, and also probably impossible to forget. That image became part of the 80s pop culture. What I personally love about this song is that incredible synth sound. It's simple, it's dark, and probably a little strange, but completely addictive. And when Annie starts singing, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, you know exactly what is coming. More than 40 years later, we're still listening, dancing, and singing along in sometimes, because some songs were hits in the 80s, and some songs became the sound of the 80s. This is Eurythmics, and this is Sweet Dreams, a song that we are going to remember today here at Retrocapsula Empresarial. Well, I know that Yvonne has a question, the last question that we have until to finish the program, but please, go ahead with your question, Yvonne, to Jevin, that is invited today for the program.
¿Qué consejo le darías a los emprendedores o a los que quieren emprender? ¿Qué características deberían tener para emprender?
What do you think that is probably the best advice that you are giving to entrepreneurs, and obviously the young people that want to start their own business?
Wow, that's a great question. And thank you for translating, because I got most of it, but I didn't want to miss it. So I would say I got a few pieces of advice. Number one is as a leader, right? Prioritize your people. Okay, invest in your people. And whether it's your family, your friends, it takes a lot for you to start a business. It takes a lot for you to be a leader. So invest in your people. Number two, lead with love. When you lead with love, it is so powerful to lead with your heart, tu corazón forward. And it is so muy poder. Number three, the power of proximity. The power of proximity.
I think she's... No problem.
The power of proximity and ensuring that we do everything that you can to be in the right places at the right time, right? And just like us, right? We got connected, and the power of proximity has brought us closer and closer and closer. So as a leader, understanding and utilizing the power of proximity. Number four would be leaders eat last. Leaders eat last. You invest in your team, you invest in your people, you invest in your community, right? And if you are good at what you're doing, there will always be some left over for you. And then the last thing is your fingerprints never fade from the lives that you've touched. So it is up to you to leave that everlasting fingerprint on the lives that you touch. That's my mom's favorite quote. She said it to my brother and me growing up all the time. Your fingerprints never fade. And so you get to decide what interaction you have with somebody, if they're going to remember you positively or negatively. And as a leader, your hope is to make the world a better place.
That's a wonderful. And thanks for your advices, and thanks for your comments specifically for this program. That is sorry, but the time is almost over. But thank you so much, Jevin, to stay with us here at the Universidad Piloto de Colombia for your visit during this week, specifically yesterday and today, to share with your ideas, your thoughts with your students. I think it was a unique opportunity for them to share, for example, the experience from another person that is not living in Colombia, that probably has a point of view from since the international context, that probably has giving an important support to them to think about different and think another ideas that probably not closely only to Colombia, but probably give a broad view of what is happening around the world. And obviously, that's the end of the program, Yvonne. Thank you so much for staying with us here at the program. Thanks for sharing your ideas, for sharing your experience, for sharing your business. I hope that probably for the future, your business continue ahead and probably giving a good opportunity for the future. And obviously, thanks for all the people that we are listening right now. Some people follow through YouTube in our channel of the Universidad Piloto de Colombia. And also, don't forget to listen all that songs that we are hearing today, that we are talking about today, in our radio station, Unipiloto Radio Online, that you can find also in the website of the Universidad Piloto de Colombia. And really, we can go, if we can probably share with you another song from the 80s that we can share until we finish the program. And this is from a group, probably a rock band group that probably is well known around the world. And the name of the group is Journey. And with Journey, we are going to close with an important song that probably most of the people know about that song. The song is Separate Ways, a song that we want to remember today here at Retrocapsula Empresarial, because always we say, recordar es vivir. Es vivir.